After Sung Drip Woo beat the absolute living shit out of Hwang Dong-soo, Thomas Andre suddenly arrived at the scene, warning him to let him go and he would let it slide. Diddy Woo responded, asking what would happen if he were to refuse, making Andre say that if that were the case, then it wouldn't be a request anymore. Rizzy Woo suddenly tossed Dong-soo to the side like a rag, saying it was fine by him, but this is also a part of Dong-soo's plan, stating that Andre was doing great since he wouldn't have a choice but to interfere in this matter, thinking that he just needed to hurry up and kill Sung Drip Woo in his stead. Both hunters prepare to face off against each other, with Andre asking if maybe he didn't know who he was. But Rizzy Woo, on the brink of crashing out, responded saying it didn't matter. It didn't matter who he is, since he would still get the beating of a lifetime either way. Andre, confused about the situation, thought to himself that even though he knows exactly who he is, he would still try to oppose him like this. The panel switches over to a flashback of his childhood, where it stated that Thomas Andre had grown up in a poor immigrant family which had many enemies. Even though it seemed like he had nothing, he had been granted with an overwhelming talent that surpassed all else: overwhelming violence. He had proved his innate abilities with a countless number of fights, showing him that violence could change the perception of those who felt hostile towards him. And when he finally had gained the power of a hunter, he took the opportunity to finally be proclaimed as a true king, destroying those who got in his way and making those who looked down on him kneel in his presence, meaning he knew how to deal with those who refused to obey him. Andre suddenly extended his hand towards Drippy Woo, saying he should only blame his arrogance for what's about to happen. Hunters from the Scavenger Guild finally arrive at the abandoned factory, getting ready to aid Thomas Andre in his fight against Drippy Woo. But in the fraction of a second, something came flying right past them at terrifying speeds. There stood the national-level hunter Thomas Andre, after getting sent flying by one of Sung Drip Woo's devastating blows. Hunters of the Scavenger Guild asked if he was all right after receiving such a blow. Angered by what just happened, Andre walks past his guild members getting ready to get his second serving. Drippy Woo summons both Igris and Kaisel, commanding them to take Jinho to the nearest hospital and to use any means to make sure he gets treated. As the dragon flies away at full speed, Thomas Andre and every single one of his Scavenger Guild members prepare to go on an all-out war against Sung God Woo and his entire shadow army. Andre couldn't help but smile, saying he would finally get to fight a worthy opponent, thinking that he couldn't care less about Hwang Dong-soo anymore, since there's only one way to redeem his damaged pride: killing that motherfucker. Andre stated that it wasn't too late for him to admit his mistakes and back off, saying that he would at least spare his life if he apologized. But without even a word, Diddy Woo suddenly pulls out his middle finger, basically telling him to go fuck himself. This hit the limit of Andre's patience, shouting that this fucker won't back down till the end, charging up his reinforcement skill, saying that he'll regret not having taken this last chance he had given him. Both armies seem to be ready to fight. Rizzy Woo orders them to advance, making Andre tell his subordinates to prepare, saying they were coming. A full-on war between the Scavenger Guild and the Shadow Army begins. Tankers rush to the front line, deploying their shields, creating an enormous wall blocking the never-ending onslaught of the undying soldiers. Andre suddenly blitzed into the middle of the army, slaughtering multiple shadows in the fraction of a second. Noticing Tusk towering over him with a shield blocking his way, Andre suddenly crushed the ground, shooting his entire body through the enormous shadow, saying those guys didn't stand a chance against him. Slamming through the factory building's roof, seeing that his subordinates were getting one-sidedly beaten by Drippy Woo's army, a hunter tried to slash him, but he dodges with minimal difficulty, noticing the arrival of Thomas Andre. He suddenly launched himself towards Rizzy Woo at an incredible speed, but Iron quickly intercepted him, attempting to block the attack, though Andre managed to punch him out of the way with minimal difficulty, telling him to move. Andre noticed that JIN WOO was nowhere to be seen, making him question where he had gone. But he suddenly appeared at his side in the fraction of a second, swinging his dagger at his ribcage at full force. But the attack was unable to even leave a single scratch on him, leaving Sung Drip Woo wide open for a counterattack, making Andre quickly launch a devastating blow to Rizzy Woo's right shoulder, which sent him flying. He asked if he was really trying to look down on the power of a national-level hunter, activating his psychokinesis skill, pulling Drip Woo right towards him. Andray shouted, telling him to feel the difference in their strength and despair, making Diddy Woo lock back into the fight, activating his own unique ability, Ruler's Authority, completely overpowering Thomas Andray's skill. He questioned if he planned on crushing him like this, but it seemed more like he was holding him fixed in place, completely shocking Andray since Drippy Woo decided to attack even as he was being pulled towards him. Drippy Woo suddenly managed to land a devastating blow right on Andray's face, launching him across the factory, making him question if he was really bleeding, but without even being able to catch his breath, Drippy Woo suddenly popped in right in front of him, asking him if this was really the despair he wanted him to feel, launching continuous blows towards him at immeasurable speeds. Tired of the continuous attacks, Andray stated that he would now stop underestimating his opponent, locking back in and activating his unique ability, Reinforcement. As a convoy of vehicles drive towards the ongoing battle, the driver tells Adam White that it's about time he explains what the hell is going on. He responded saying that there wasn't any time to explain in detail, but the driver suddenly sensed that there was something wrong, telling Adam White that he might not be able to tell since he's a normal civilian, but if they go any further than this, they'd be risking their lives. Seeing Thomas Andray's transformation reminded Drippy Woo of Kamish's warning, saying that there were 4 humans who had borrowed the ruler's strength and that it's possible that they are among the 5 who survived the Kamish raid, meaning they might be the 4 national level hunters, with Thomas Andray being one of them. Drip Woo suddenly dashed towards Andray at immeasurable speeds, making him quickly raise his hands for an attack, stopping Rizzy Woo in his tracks, making him wonder what was to come. Andray suddenly slammed the ground with overwhelming strength, utterly crushing the ground in its entirety. Drippy Woo quickly leaped backwards in order to avoid it. That is, until Andray activated his ability, Capture. The hunters of the Scavenger Guild, knowing the power of such ability, quickly shouted, telling everyone to get away from him. The unsuspecting shadow soldiers were quickly pulled into the black hole, swallowing them in. Shocked by the power of such ability, Drizzy Woo stated that he would have been sucked in if it weren't for his ruler's authority skill, which was holding him in place. Seeing that he was left unscathed, Andray suddenly shot a powerful blast, destroying the building JIN WOO was standing on, but he managed to dodge the attack with ease, landing on a steel beam while staring down above him, making Andray state that he wouldn't be missing with his next shot. With the previous attack having injured most of the hunters from the Scavenger Guild, a hunter quickly shouted, saying to move as far away from Andray as possible in order to avoid getting in the middle of such a gruesome battle. Andray prepared to go after Rizzy Woo, launching himself towards him at immeasurable speeds, and as soon as he was about to make impact, Drippy Woo instantly stepped on Andray's face, launching himself backwards. Not wanting him to get away, he quickly activated his capture skill, attempting to pull him right towards him. But Drippy Woo suddenly activated his ruler's authority skill, extending his hand backwards, leaving Andray confused, since he was trying to pull him towards him while accelerating, making him question if he was planning to face him head-on. Andray activated reinforcement on his left hand, saying if that was the case, then he would take him on gladly. A devastating clash ensued between the strongest man in America, Thomas Andray, versus the nonchalant Riz King, Sung Drip Woo. But inevitably, Andray ended up losing the clash, which sent him flying through the warehouse with Drippy Woo following right after him. Andray went berserk, jumping out of the rubble. As Rizzy Woo dashed right towards him, he attempted a counterattack, launching a devastating blow, but Drippy Woo managed to dodge the attack with ease, grabbing his armor's horns and knee-kicking him right in the face with immeasurable strength, which ended up cracking his helmet. Outside of the warehouse, the Hunter Bureau finally arrived at the scene with both the driver and Adam White in absolute shock, while watching the ongoing battle, asking themselves just what kind of monsters are they to be emitting this much magical energy. The driver explains to Adam that he should really brace himself since being here was extremely dangerous. As the warehouse began to collapse, Adam asked if that was really who he thought it was, making the driver confirm his suspicions, saying that was indeed Thomas Andray. The driver asked what they should do in this current situation. Adam responded, saying that they must stop them at all costs, making the driver ask how the fuck were they supposed to stop Andray from getting the shit beat out of him by Sung Diddy Woo. As Drippy Woo kept pummeling Andray into the ground, he wondered how. How could a mage-type hunter produce such insane strength and speed? He questioned if he was really going to lose, stating that there was no way that was possible. Something like that could never happen to him. But as he felt every single one of Drippy Woo's blows, he denied it even further, saying that the only thing that defined him was his overwhelmingly oppressive violence. He suddenly stood up shouting that he is Thomas Andre, asking if he really thought this was enough to take him down. That is until Drippy Woo struck him from behind, saying that he had already told him, telling him that it didn't matter who he was. The hunters could only watch as their guildmaster was getting utterly destroyed into oblivion, making Adam White shout, asking and begging for him to stop. But that didn't stop Drippy Woo from pounding him over and over again. No diddy. Thomas Andre was getting hit with blow after blow, punch after punch, relentlessly getting pummeled into the ground. That is until he said the words, "It's over," stopping Papa Woo in his tracks. "I lost," Andre stated. The hunters watch on as the battle ultimately ended in Andre's defeat. Adam White couldn't believe his eyes, saying that to reduce the great Thomas Andre to such a state, asking how many hunters in the world could do such a feat, questioning if there are even any who could do so in the first place, stating that once this news gets out, it will shake the entire world completely. Adam White ordered the healer to heal him as quickly as possible, but the healer stated that every single one of his bones in his body had been broken, and since he had severe blood loss as well, he alone wouldn't be enough for this, saying that it would be better for all the healers to treat him together. The healer stated that it was only because he's a national-level hunter that he was able to survive this long, saying that any other hunter would have died at least 10 times over from this amount of damage, but luckily it didn't look like anyone had died from this devastating battle. Adam White covered his face, saying that at least this was the best outcome that could have occurred. But suddenly, a bureau agent shouted, telling him to look over there, saying that Hunter Hwang Dong-soo wasn't breathing and that his heart wasn't beating, and that Sung Drippy Woo was nowhere to be seen.